Hi, everyone. This is called Just Show Up, and we're just going to talk about the importance of networking, marketing, and the art of facing fears. So I don't remember what the title was that I submitted, but I was looking at this talk because I had done it years ago, and it said fighting fears, but I kind of wanted to change that word because I want something more positive. I don't think you have to fight your fears. I think you overcome them. So you face them. All right. So who's here? Who's an introvert? Who's an extrovert? Who's maybe a bit of both? Let me know what your personality type is like. And I will say that I do believe that personality types can change based on, as you grow, as you learn your experiences in life, and then also just based on context, So I feel like for me personally, sometimes I'm more introverted, sometimes I'm more extroverted because I have to be. And I will say that at different points in life, when I've taken the Myers-Briggs, the personality test, it's changed over time. All right, let me see here. I'm monitoring the chat. Introvert till I get to know someone, but of both, rather introvert, chronically introverted. Okay, let's see. So many responses here. Thank you all for being so active, so vocal. All right, I can't even read them. They're coming in so fast. All right, introverted, extrovert, chronically introvert who can mask as extrovert. Yeah. Introvert suffering from imposter syndrome. That's a big one. Very introverted. Same, serious, same introvert. All right, extrovert. Talk to anyone, anytime. All right, Priyanka, it seems like you are the outlier here. We have a lot of introverts joining the chat. Harper, extrovert until I have to market myself. Okay, interesting. Introvert, but has to learn to be extroverted at work. All right, so it seems like we have a lot of introverts here, and I know, especially I feel like in tech, right? You can have a lot of personality types that are more introverted. I find that a lot of developers are more introverted. Maybe data analysts are a little more introverted. The work almost a little bit aligns with the personality versus, maybe salespeople, right? People who work in sales, they're kind of more extroverted. They can have those conversations. People in politics, maybe more extroverted. So we do see that a lot in tech, but it is important to be able to get out there and network, right? And just show up. And I'll give you plenty of personal anecdotes about, how I have really worked myself into becoming more of an extrovert because I had to. All right, another extrovert here, Bridget. So we got maybe 3 or 4 extroverts and the rest are introverts. So I do have some suggestions specifically for my introverts in here. All right, but first, before we even get going, once again, my name is Emily Cleary. I am currently a senior UX researcher. I work a full-time contract with Edward Jones in finance right now. I also mentor with Designlab. And I come from UX research and strategy. I come from a lot of freelance and agency work. I've also taught UX design boot camps at various places like University of Miami, University of Wisconsin-Madison. I've been a teaching assistant at IronHack, where I got my UX diploma. I have a master's degree in sociology. I have an LLC, and I'm a speaker as well. I do things like this, and I also speak at conferences, like tech conferences mostly. You can see some of my experience here at the bottom right. So currently at Edward Jones, I worked with Avis. I was with Pininfarina, an agency. They're kind of a well-known Italian design firm. They're known for making Ferraris for many years. So I worked on industrial design with that team as a UX person. And then other than that, this is my work life, but my other life, I'm really in the music scene. So I'm like a working musician. I gig around all the time. I'm in bands. I release music and things like that. And I do have several examples about how showing up has really impacted me in that way in my music life. Wellness. I love fitness, wellness, and health. I think it's super important. Self-care, mental health, all of those things. So take care of yourself. And I love mangoes. It's mango season right now in Florida. I just had one for breakfast and it was delicious. All right, so a bit of the agenda today. So we're going to go over networking and events and building relationships kind of all together. We'll talk about marketing yourself, time management, strategies to face fears. And then if we have time and if we can figure it out virtually, we can do a workshop I haven't run this workshop in this program before, so like I don't think I can put you in breakout rooms. So I'm not sure that it will work, but we can try and find a way to make it work. All right, so let's start with networking. And I want to start with some personal anecdotes about how showing up has helped me immensely in my life. So when I was in my boot camp at Ironhack, this was an in-person boot camp. This was back in 2018 in Miami. We had guest speakers come in, I don't know, maybe once every other week or so. I was in like a 9 or 10 week full-time program. So one of our guest speakers came in, and honestly, I don't remember what he was talking about. I feel like he was talking about at UX at an agency, a popular agency here in South Florida. And we had a decent sized cohort. It was like 22 students, let's say. And out of 22 students, there was only 2 people who were like taking notes and paying attention. It was me and somebody else. I sat in the front row. I paid attention. I asked questions. I showed interest. I ended up writing a whole LinkedIn post about this guest speaker and what I learned from him, and like a picture that I took of him. And I asked him if I could post that picture of him. And that is how I got my first freelance contract with Adobe Education Exchange. It wasn't particularly UX, but I do have a content background. So I came from like, I was a conceptual writer, conceptual designer, like creating explainer videos. So putting images into Photoshop that matched the script that I would write. Then I went into content marketing management and things like that. So I did content and things of that nature before I got into product. And the first freelance project I got was for Adobe Education Exchange. They needed a bunch of cover art for like these educational topics that they were building out here. So again, I'm sorry it is so small, but it says here like a workshop, shoot and edit better instructional videos. The second one is digital media and learning, photo essays. The next one is select the best fonts for any project. So basically I had to come up with or like find all this imagery that matched these workshops. And that was my first freelance project. So I got to go see the agency. He helped me with pricing. He helped me like understand what a proposal would look like and a contract and like an NDA and all of these things, right? Which I had no idea, but I knew that I wanted to be more of like a freelance contractor type person because that's just how I feel like I thrive. I like to try and do many things at once to just broaden my interests. And also I like to leave time and space for my first passion, which is music. So that's how that happened, right? Just by listening to my guest speaker. The second thing here, Boca Code. So Boca Code it's like a boot camp, mostly a coding boot camp out in Boca Raton, Florida, like an hour north of me. They actually recently just merged with another boot camp. But when Boca Code was starting up, let me rewind. All right. So I did a talk, right, at a conference, a tech conference. I think it was the South Florida Developers Conference. And I've done it like every year. I speak for free. It's not something that I get paid to do. It's because I enjoy helping the community. And this is a great way to also network, right, and get your name out there and your personal brand. So I did a talk, and someone in my audience, it was like a packed room at like 9 a.m. on a Saturday, right? I remember I wasn't feeling well that day. I still went. I showed up, right? I was so prepared. I went. I did the thing. And someone in the audience was the person, actually the founder of Boca Code. And he came up to me after the talk and he just told me how much he loved the talk and, you know, it really resonated with him. He liked how I was as a speaker and a teacher. And he was looking for somebody to do UX at his boot camp and at his school. So this meeting, me showing up to this conference, talking for free, turned into me writing the entire UX curriculum for Boca Code and teaching 3 or 4 cohorts of the UX curriculum. It was like a 40-hour curriculum, just like a 1-week thing. It was like leveling up UX skills, whether you were an entrepreneur, developer, marketing, whatever, just like leveling up where you were already. It wasn't a full UX course. But I wrote this entire curriculum and I taught it, right? And this is because someone showed up to me because I showed up for myself. So these are just two examples that I have of so many where I've kind of created opportunities for myself, right? And just by showing up. So first thing here is listen to your guest speakers. I love this this meme GIF thing. You get an engagement, right? Oprah, you always get a prize. So be actively engaged. Take notes, ask questions, things like that, right? We'll get more into that a bit later on. But just wanted to start with that that anecdote before we get into some of these really interesting statistics. So 60% to 85% of people find their jobs through networking. I have all the sources listed like in the bottom of my PowerPoint. If anyone wants those sources, let me know. I can shoot you the link. I just didn't tag them on the page. But this is really interesting, right? Because I know you're probably aware the market right now is a little bit tough, especially for UX and tech. And you see all these big companies, right, laying off a lot of people. So it's this is great insight for you to have on, how you can actually find more work and find more opportunities and create them as well. So 70 to 80% of new jobs are not listed on job boards. This is just an estimate. This is referred to as the hidden job market, right? So it's, I don't know, someone is working at Google and they know someone that needs to be hired and Google happens to have a position open. They ask around first before they ever post anything, right? It's cheaper to do it that way. They don't have to pay to post it and all these things. I spend so much time going through so many resumes. And then 30 to 50% of new hires are from internal referrals, right? So right back to that Google example. So who you know is really important. You know, in our industry, I'm curious to know what everyone does here. If you want to drop it in the chat, you can. If you're in UX or, if you're studying something else, data, cyber, entrepreneur, whatever you're doing, it's important to know people who might be helpful to you, right? And build those relationships. Okay, teacher changing careers to UX. Okay, awesome. Transitioning from being a librarian to UX, architecture and construction. Okay, we've got a lot of interesting things here. All right, so lots of different backgrounds. Sounds like there's definitely some research backgrounds that would help go as far as going into UX. So I actually studied sociology. My research background helped me get into UX, right? I didn't have that much product knowledge besides doing marketing. Web developer, website specialist, video game localization. Interesting. Front-end dev, business analyst to UX. Okay. Higher ed to UX, journalism and admin, content strategist transitioning into UX. Okay. BA in anthropology. Barista for a job. Okay, awesome. So anthropology, you have a lot of research background there, which is helpful. So it's really important just for all of you, just real quick, to understand how you can have your transferable skills, how you can pull those out and then position them into UX, right? But you can start building your networks now. You never know, who knows someone else that you might need to know. So we can come back to that in a bit. Let's continue going here. So let's talk about events really quick. So first, finding events. I was going to start with, okay, well, what do you do at events? But let's start with finding them. So not everybody knows how to find events. So it's important that you're networking. We are able to show up in person again. Of course, you can show up online. I think it's a little bit different when you're showing up online if people don't already know who you are. But if you are trying to show face and have people recognize you and, just connect with people in person, start going to events in your cities or wherever you live. So you can look for events on Eventbrite, on Meetup, just start searching UX events or local tech events. It doesn't always have to be UX. You might meet some developers or founders who are looking for UX. You can do hashtag searches on social media. So that's Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, conferences is another one. I don't think I have that here, but going to conferences is a great way to meet people, right? That's an event. Facebook groups. There's Facebook groups for tech and UX and things like that. So that's a way to connect virtually, especially if you're in a place where maybe you don't have as many events. Slack and Discord. That's another way to find more events. You know, there's local channels. Like I know South Florida has their own South Florida Tech channel. And, you know, just finding these different groups and reaching out to people there to find out, you know, okay, what are the groups that I can join to find events? There's tons of WhatsApp groups out there, honestly, for everything. I'm in so many WhatsApp groups for various things that, you know, I didn't even know existed. Like, I'm in a lot of like musician and artist ones. There's like another conscious community one. There's tech ones. There's finance ones. There's sustainable swapping. There's like selling like furniture and all these things, housing, all these different WhatsApp chats. I don't know that there's a database for that. I actually haven't looked into it because it's been very organic that I've been invited to them, but that's something else. So like start exploring the WhatsApp chats and start Googling that. I actually want to Google that because I haven't done that. Your local boot camps or schools, right, that have design programs. So if you are in, you know, for example, New York City, I know someone was in New York City. You know, Designlab is virtual, but there is a General Assembly in New York City. There is, I think there's, it wasn't called Flatiron, it was called Flat something, I think. And I know like there's one in New York City. And you can go to those events that they throw. Those events are normally free to attend, right? And you can start networking with people there. If you have universities around you that have design programs, and they can kind of be any kind of design programs. It doesn't even have to be UX or like HCI. It could be, you know, just product design, kind of program, and you could start, you know, maybe hanging around and trying getting some intel and just meeting some people in those places, right? So like go to places where you can find like-minded people because they can then start introducing you to the rest of the community. Co-working spaces, that's another place to go and meet people, right? Or it's like a co-working cafe, right? You don't always have to pay to go to a co-working space. Some of them have like free co-working days. So look into the co-working spaces in your communities to find out if they're having a free co-working day, and you can go and meet people. You know, I know places with WeWork, they oftentimes have events that people can go to for free, and you don't have to be a member of WeWork. So definitely look into those kind of things and start going to meet people. Also, like another place, another thing that you could look up is like founders, right? So people who are founding companies or startups and things like that. That's a good place to go and meet people because you have all kinds of people there. You have, you know, investors, you have product people, you have devs there, marketing people. So just like start getting in the know. And there's also like professional organizations for these things. So you can look on like IXDA, right? Like the International Design Association. I don't think that's what it stands for, but like IXDA website, and see if they're having any local meetups and things like that. And then just start Googling stuff like, all right, meetups for UX in Chicago, meetup for UX in Croatia, in all these places, and see what you find, right? And look into different ways to type in those searches. So you can use ChatGPT for that. Write this sentence in a new way. And then you might have new results because all those results are based on SEO. So those are all the different ways to find events, you know, wherever you are. And then if you're visiting another city, go there. Go see if there's an event there that you can hang out at and meet some people. And just by the way, if anyone has any question at any time, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'm checking the chat periodically as I go, okay? All right, so I'm going to move on to the next slide here. Or I see, Bridget, do people just go to these alone? Is that weird? All right, so yes, you go to them alone. I mean, you can definitely go with someone else, but if you're going with someone else, what's probably more likely to happen? You are with that person the whole night, and that's not really what you're there for. You're there to meet other people, right? So I'll talk about like a play-by-play on how to meet people, but like I go to these events by myself. I have like a little quick anecdote about how I got comfortable going to things by myself because I wasn't always. So I was really introverted, right? But like I knew that I wanted to sing and I love music, right? And I had to get into a place where I could be more extroverted. Like for example, the first photo shoot I ever did, it was in my parents' house. I cried because I was scared of like being behind the camera, and I was like, I don't want this attention. And it was a lot for me. And so it was definitely a teachable moment. And I learned from that, you know, now it's not an issue for me anymore. but I had to really push myself through it. And when I decided I want to be a singer, there was like, I knew about kind of like an artist community in South Florida, more like underground artist community before I was, doing like more professional corporate gigs and stuff like that. And I decided that I wanted to, that I had to go to one of these events alone because no one wanted to come with me. But I wanted to go and I wanted to meet people, and I was so nervous. And everyone was so welcoming. I went in there. I was like one of the first people there. And I was just kind of introducing myself like, hey, my name is Emily, I'm just trying to get into the community. I'm new here, I'm by myself. I don't really know anyone. And everyone was like, oh, like chatting me up and this and that. You want something to drink? And, we're all here to share expression and things like that. And people were really, really welcoming. So it's just about pushing through that first part. It's like the hardest part is getting there. But then once you're there, you're almost more like forced to immerse yourself because you're already made it. It's kind of like this saying, like the hardest part, like for the gym, like the hardest part is getting there. But once you're there, you'll like do something. Same kind of thing. So great question, Bridget. I'll go more into that, like how to specifically navigate, especially as an introvert, like how to set goals. So. All right. So networking at events, right? So just show up and put yourself out there. So good segue. And I have a bunch of notes, actually, I'm going to read here on this. So networking, right? It creates opportunities. So more people need your services than you think, right? So if you have a limiting mindset that people don't need your services, well, then people won't need your services. But if you have a more open mindset and everyone has something special to offer and you can be your authentic self and you have a credible brand and, you can trust you, people can trust you, and you do good work, people will want your services. So if you think about it, networking is just connecting with people. It's just literally one human talking to another human. Think about it that way. Like no human is above or below you. We're all at the same level. So a good way to do this, especially, if you're going to an event on your own, you maybe feel uncomfortable. You could just start with a compliment. Oh, I really love that shirt. Or did you get that shirt from so-and-so? You can just, I don't know, make it up, whatever. And just start a little conversation, making eye contact. That's a good way to start a conversation with someone as well. You can just join in on a conversation, like politely just, hey, can I join in on this? I overheard while I was passing. It sounds super interesting. My name is Emily. Just going in and being confident. And it might take you some time to get used to being confident, right? But I also have some strategies for that I'll go over. So people are much more welcoming than you think, especially here in the tech community. So for introverts, something that I suggest is coming up with questions and topics to discuss in advance so you don't feel like you're thrown off and you get stuck. So think about a couple things you can bring up, some things that you know about, that you can start off the conversation and like you keep the lead, right? So you can then bring up a couple things and feel more comfortable in the situation, right? Especially if these events make you anxious. So you can also go with a goal to make a certain number of new contacts. You don't have to meet every person in the place, right? Of course you can if that's who you are, especially if you're an extrovert. But for an introvert, you can get 3 business cards, give 3 business cards, get 3 business cards, and get out of there. You're just doing some networking, you're getting more comfortable with it. Set a goal, right? Start small until you start feeling better about it and this becomes more comfortable to you. It's just like anything, just like learning to ride a bike. You just have to keep going and going until it becomes more familiar. And lastly, I will say that a lot of networking events do offer drinking and things like that. So if you're above 21 and you're drinking alcohol at an event, I would like to say keep it cute. So don't over drink, have a drink and then water and then maybe another one and more water and leave, make sure you keep your composure and stay professional. If drinking is something you like to engage in at a networking event. Okay, Shruti, are business cards still used or do people normally pull out phones and find LinkedIn profiles? Both. So I always give my business card because mine has a QR code on it that people can just scan and all of my websites and things come up. I also directly connect right there on LinkedIn. I do have the play-by-play for that, which I'll get to soon. And so you'll see that. And some people, I met someone recently who just has the QR code on the phone, which you can scan, which is, of course, wonderful. And so I believe in that. And I still believe in business cards, because what happens if someone's phone's dead? Or both of your phones are dead, like you don't know, or if you don't have service and things aren't coming up. So I like to have a backup in the form of a business card. That's my personal preference. Is there a trick to change a type of thought that this networking is not just showing off? I know it's good for business, but I can't help myself to dislike this kind of boasting. So how is networking showing off? Networking is just, so I guess, Marlene, explain that a little bit more, because I think of it differently. I think of networking as just you're meeting another human being. It doesn't have to be you go and say, hi, this is what I do and I need to make money. It's not approaching it that way. It's like finding some things that are in common with the person, connecting on a human level first, right? Because that's how you build relationships. And that is how you then create opportunities from those relationships, because people like you as a person. So that's kind of how I look at it. I will say it is not a bad idea to sell yourself softly, right? Like, yeah, I do this, and, I do UX, and, I've gotten to work on some really cool projects, but like, stay humble. You don't have to make it so, I don't know, like, so it's super salesy. Yeah. Human level first. Okay. Awesome. But I do have the play-by-play. I think that'll really help many of you. All right. So I think those are all my notes for that slide. All right. Perfect. So I'm going to show you, again, some more anecdotes of how things have just worked for me by just showing up. So in music specifically. So this first one on the left, I recently did a show in LA, Los Angeles, and I went out there without a band. So I always perform with a band here in Florida. I didn't have a band there. I didn't really know that many people in Los Angeles, but I really wanted to have a band, right? It was totally my intention to have a band. I was just going to play with tracks, not my favorite, but whatever. I was going to make it work. So I get to the venue, and it's sound check, and the two other artists sound check before me, and then it was my turn to sound check, right? So I went up to the stage as the other band was clearing off, and I said, "Hey, like, my name is Emily, and I'm here from Miami. I don't really know anyone. I don't have a band. I always play with a band out there, but you guys sounded great, and blah blah blah." I just started chatting with them. I didn't ever state that I needed a band. I never stated it. And these guys were like, "Well, what's the music like? Like, we can play for you." And this band, who were incredible and just my style, like more soul R&B style, they learned 4 of my 6 songs in like 20 minutes. I had charts ready. So for musicians, it's like sheet music. I had sheet music ready. I was ready, right? I was prepared. And they were able to listen to the song, and I sent them the charts, and they played my stuff, and like, we worked through it together. It was like an intimate show. So it was fine. It was cool. But like, just by showing up and going by myself, I really want this. I hope this happens. And I kind of let it go, and it happened for me. Right. So it's also like, setting those intentions, and understanding how things will happen for you. The other one here. All right. So this second picture, with the Polaroid for WhatsApp. So, someone invited me for Miami Music Week, to a meta brunch for women in dance music. So I come from soul R&B, but I released like a dance album last year, and I go by a different name for music. But I was not on the list for this event. I was like a guest of someone who was also kind of having issues with the list. And it was also a monsoon outside, but I decided I still had to go. And I went. I ended up getting in. I ended up meeting all these amazing people. I'm doing a song with one of these people now. She paid me as a vocalist on the song. And it opened up a bunch of different connections for me, because I literally just showed up. I didn't really have a plan. I had my laptop with me. Like, I was working outside in this monsoon, and I waited probably 30 minutes to an hour to get in, but I got in, and I really, used my networking when I got there, because I can only stay for like an hour and a half at that point. And it brought me a lot of different opportunities. Same thing here with Jolt Radio at the bottom. So I on Monday, actually, I had my first podcast, where I got to playing some of my favorite tracks musically and talking about creativity. I talked about guided mastery, right? If you're in UX, you probably know what guided mastery is by David Kelly and Albert Bandura. And I just kind of created this opportunity for myself. I didn't really know that I wanted this, but I think it's pretty cool by just going to like an open event that the radio station had and talking to the owner. He ended up being the owner and the founder. I didn't really know that. And, it was great. We had great conversation, and this is what it turned into. So just constantly creating by opportunities for myself, literally just by showing up sometimes with intention, sometimes without intention, but just letting it, kind of happen. So those are some more ways, that showing up has proved really impactful to my life. Okay, I see another comment here. So excited to hear about LinkedIn. It's confusing for me to navigate. How did you know to post about a seminar you attended on LinkedIn? Is it like Facebook? Of course, question for me. How did I know to post about it? Oh, this is kind of just something that I did to get to build up my LinkedIn. So we'll get to that. All right, here, play by play. Here we go. So the networking at events. So first, right, what do you want to do? You want to introduce yourself, right? I said like start by eye contact, by a compliment, by casually walking by and hearing some of the conversation and, wanting to step in. If people are in line to get food or a drink, just say something real quick, nice quick compliment, or talk about, oh, I really love that last speaker. What was your favorite part? Just quick things like that. To start introducing yourself, right? So connecting at the human level first. And then it's about finding things in common. So it doesn't have to be in business. It could just be in life. Try to notice something about them. If they maybe have an accent, right, that you notice, oh, like, where are you from here? Where are you from? Oh, yeah, I've been there. I really love it. I love this and this about this place. And, whatever it is that you can find commonalities about. I love sneakers, right? So like if I see someone with a cool pair of sneakers, I'll go say, oh, hey, I love those sneakers. I was thinking about getting them and they look so awesome. And just people love to hear kind things about themselves, right? So like that's kind of a trick to get you in, right? And that's kind of Azure, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. That's kind of why I did that, because people love to hear about themselves in a good way, like to be praised, right? That's why I posted about this person and all the things that I learned from him. All right, so find things in common. 3, give them your business card or connect in some way, right? Could be digitally, however you want to do it with QR code. And then connect with them on LinkedIn, right? So something that I always did, I would kind of write a comment to myself in my notes. Like I would connect with them. I wouldn't always have service, but connect with them, take a screenshot, and then write something in my notes, like with the person's name and what we talked about. And then after the event, like when I got home or the next day, I would write the new contacts on LinkedIn if I wasn't able to write them right there. So, say I meet you, Marlene, at a tech event. Hey, Marlene, it was great to meet you last night. I love chatting about your red sweater. I whatever it was that we talked about. Love chatting about your red sweater. Looking forward to seeing you at an event soon. That's it. Like now you have a new connection. And they remember how they met you. So like write the name of the event that you were at and then what you talked about. And then you can add the person to a tech contacts sheet if that's helpful for you. So something like this is an Excel file. So I would write the name. I don't even think I have categories, but the name, where I met them. If I knew what they did, right, like what their kind of work was, I would write it here. And then, maybe some details about them. So the details really varied. All right, one person, MBA, one person interested in UX, one person, grandfather was Italian, moved from Venezuela, one person, brothers with someone else. And, and that's how I started to remember who people were, because I wrote a whole tech contacts list, right, of who I was meeting. Because honestly, keeping all these people on LinkedIn and stuff, sometimes you forget who they are. So especially once you start really beefing up your LinkedIn. All right, something else that I wanted to mention. So as you're networking, the 6 degrees of separation. So the idea that all people are 6 or fewer social connections away from each other. Studies have shown the average number of handshakes to link any two individuals is 6. And I think this is really interesting. There is a movie on it, which I haven't watched yet, but it's a very young Will Smith is in the movie. And with the 6 degrees of separation, so you never know who's in a room. You really never know. And who you'll meet, right? So there's many fish. You'll meet many fish. And one of them may turn out to be the bigger fish or the shark that you needed to meet, or know the shark that you need to meet, right? So you might meet John, and John knows Bob, and Bob knows Susie, and Susie knows Holly, which Holly is really the person that you needed to meet, right? So you really never know who you're going to meet and how you'll impact them. So also, don't be afraid to share your inspiration and share your brilliance and things like that, and just really connect on a human level, because that's how people remember you. And then they'll start referring you for opportunities and things like that, including you, and you'll become a part of a new community. All right, this is kind of an example of what I just said. So like who knows who, the degrees, and then, who all knows each other and on the outside and things like that. So you never know who you're meeting. And lastly, your network is who you know, and your reputation is who knows you. And just real quick, I just want to make sure I address your question, Ezra. All right, so after I met this person, the guest speaker, let's call him Bob, I decided to post about Bob because at the time, I was really trying to beef up my LinkedIn, because I knew that I wanted to like freelance and do, contractor type stuff. So I was posting all the time on my LinkedIn, all kinds of content, things that I learned, things that I read. If I was writing a Medium article, because we had to, a program at IronHack, writing about my guest speakers, posting my new projects. That's how I knew to do it. I was honestly just diversifying my content, and I know that people like to hear positive things about themselves. Like, so why not? Why not praise someone who I learned a lot from? So that's why I did that. All right. So building relationships, just a bit about this here. All right. So this quote is from Peter Drucker. He is a great businessman known as the father of business management. So he says, more business decisions occur over lunch and dinner than at any other time, yet no MBA courses are given on the subject. So what's he saying here? He's saying that building relationships, right, at the human level, eating together, right, where people get nourished the most is in the kitchen. I don't know if you've ever heard like that statement, but this is where the most conversation and things happen, over food, over nourishment, something that we all need, right? So in these kind of situations where you're relaxed and you're both doing something that our body literally needs, you are able to then build a relationship, understand who this other human is in front of you, right? That's having a very different or very similar human experience. And then you're able to build on that, right? Build new opportunities from that. Have more business decisions, right? It's a more relaxed space where you're not having to be on it all the time, right? I just talked about the science of creativity on my podcast. It's called PB and Jam. And the science of creativity, the first thing that you need is a relaxed mind, right? You get this from dopamine, from distraction, like taking a lunch, like in the shower, right? We have dopamine. We're able to relax the mind. And so that's just kind of what that's leaning to, just connecting on a human level in a more relaxed space. So building relationships. So what kind of relationships do you need? How do you do it? Mentors, right? So you become who you surround yourself with. You want to get better at, I don't know, your finances, right? You find a finance mentor. Maybe you find someone to help you manage your finances. Maybe you start watching YouTube. Your mentor can be digital. It can be on YouTube, right? I think it's easier if you can reach out to someone personally, but you can have mentors for everything in your life. Rapport. So your richest resources are in your richest relationships. So asking the right questions. So this is part of building those relationships. You have to get those questions ready. Like I said, introverts or extroverts, come up with those questions, those things that you want to ask first. Be ready. Ask those thought-provoking questions that people won't ever forget. And if you're asking the right questions, you can really get to know people and create that rapport, right? And you never know, those rich relationships that you have that you're building from that rapport you will have resources from those relationships, whether it be, they connect you with other people, opportunities, funding, whatever it is. It comes from like building those relationships. And then learn. So reiterate what others are talking about. So this is exactly what I did when I posted, what I learned from guest speaker Bob. And you do the same thing in a conversation. So you're at a networking event and you're talking to Jackie, and Jackie says a couple things and you kind of repeat it back to her, like, oh, like what you said about XYZ was so interesting, and I really liked what you said about ABC, because then it shows that you're listening, you're actively engaged, right? You're paying attention. And then you can use that again when you connect with Jackie on LinkedIn and write it in your message and say, I really enjoyed talking about this. I learned so much, would love to stay in touch, or whatever it is. And you can help, ChatGPT can help you write those messages if you have some troubles with those. All right, marketing. So content is king. Goes back to the post with Bob, right? So Bill Gates said this in 1996, and this was a prediction that content would be the key success factor for websites and businesses. So how do a lot of businesses become, or people, influences become popular and successful? A lot of it is content. It's advertising, whether it's organic or paid. It's these days, memes these days, like videos, social media content, right? This is where a lot of this is happening. And, Bill Gates, ahead of the time, said that content would be king, and it still is king, right? People get paid these days just to make content. So times have changed, but content is really important, especially if you're in a place of wanting to build a business or build yourself so you can get opportunities, right? I did so much of that while I was building my brand. I do have a talk on like personal branding coming up. It's either July or August. I have a couple more talks coming up. So that one really like goes into personal branding and how to build that. But just keep this in mind, content is king. So marketing yourself on LinkedIn and other socials I added here. So a variety of posts, right? Photos, videos are really more popular these days, especially for Instagram, TikTok. You have YouTube Shorts now. You have, I think, Reels on Facebook. Videos are everywhere. Insights, things that you've learned, right? Reflections, new ideas, articles that are interesting, your own thoughts, experiences that you've had out in the real world that people can relate with. A series, you can do a series of posts, hashtags, things like that, things that can just get your content out there, because the algorithm basically, unfortunately, has to start recognizing you and recognizing that you are out there on the internet and you exist. So like, you just have to keep posting until it starts building up and up and up. And you can schedule these posts. So I used to do this using Hootsuite, but you can do it now on LinkedIn. Since it's mostly about LinkedIn, I know you can schedule on Instagram too. The other socials, I'm not totally sure, but you can schedule these for posting. Engagement. So liking, loving, whatever the buttons are, and commenting is really important for visibility, right? And like responding back to people. That's something I will say I'm not so great at. It takes me a while to like respond back on socials, but commenting is great for visibility. You never know who's going to see you. For your network, I say accept everyone, because it's that 6 degrees of separation thing. Like, you never know who's going to know who. If you find that someone that you accept is kind of just like flooding your inbox with like, oh, look at my product, then just unfriend them, delete them. I've done that. But why not? You can accept everyone. LinkedIn Premium, try the free trial, see if you like it, see if it's something that you want to invest in. If you have a business or an LLC, that's something that you can deduct on your expenses when you do your taxes. And make sure your updates are consistent. So scheduling is really helpful. I used to be really on it. I will say I don't post much on LinkedIn anymore. I'm kind of good with where I'm at as far as my contract, but when I'm ready to do something else, I will definitely start ramping it up. All right, portfolio. So in UX, of course, we need a portfolio. So you just want to share your personality, and I will go ahead and kind of show you what my About Me says in here. All right. So my portfolio is emilycleary.com. I have a photo. I'm a big traveler. This was in Iceland. I have a tagline: curious by nature, passionate by design. Let's see. I show my personality like kind of throughout. So 24/7, 365, I'm inquisitive and probably eating a mango. I spent most of my young days playing piano and singing, coding div layouts on MySpace until 5 a.m. Now, please show me your cute dog so I can pet it, right? So like just have personality in your portfolio because people want to know that you're a real human. Like these days, unfortunately, you can hire AI to build your wireframes for you, but AI is not going to have a personality like we do. So make yourself different, really differentiate yourself. Okay. All right, now it's much bigger. I guess it was just a glitch at first. All right, so time management, real quick on this. So this is key. I will say, especially, when you're networking, especially if you're looking for opportunities, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Kind of keep looking, like until you secure something that you are ready for, that you want, keep looking. Even if you have, I don't know, your final interview scheduled and a new company calls you saying, oh, we want to interview you, take it. Because like, for example, I interviewed it was 8 interviews or something with Microsoft, and it was down to me and one other person at the end. I didn't end up getting it. And I was still talking to other companies, and I ended up getting the finance contract, right? With Edward Jones. So don't put all your eggs in one basket, especially if you're more entrepreneurial. Put yourself out there, several avenues, several opportunities, accept all the opportunities you think are worth it. And if you know how to manage your time really well, you can do multiple things at once, right? So like I have my full-time contract. I'm still able to do music. I'm still able to mentor students, via Designlab, give these talks, speak at conferences. So I do know how to manage my time well. I use a planner. I'm a physical planner kind of girl, and it's really helpful for me. Excuse me. And when I was, doing more freelancing, I had multiple contracts at once, working with different clients at the same time. So time management is key. And this is a pretty good method. If you want to learn how to start managing your time, this is a nice place to start, the Pomodoro technique. If you haven't heard of it, it is, I don't know why it's called Pomodoro with the tomatoes, but it's cute. So start here, right? You do like a 25-minute time block. Focused work. You're all in, phone silent, put it away, no calls, 25 minutes. Short 5-minute break, get up, get that distraction, get that brain more relaxed, get it ready for your next 25-minute time block, right? And then again, 5-minute break. And again, 25. And it goes all around and around. So you have this full hour of work, and then you have a longer break, 15 to 30 minutes, and then you keep going around and around. So this was a good way to start managing your time and managing also your brain, the energy that you're putting into things, because sometimes we just need a break. Harper, I like using the Tomato app on my desktop for the Pomodoro timer. That's awesome. I didn't know about that app. Thank you so much for sharing. Yeah, try that out. Tomato app for the method, so you don't have to keep looking at your phone. That's great. All right, and facing fears. So I just want to talk through this. All right, so we won't get to the workshop. I'll just show you what it was real quick, but I wanted to talk about facing fears. So this is something that you can do on your own. If you want to reach out to other students from Designlab in the Discord or the Slack or whatever it is, give yourself 5 minutes to learn about the person you're matched with. I can't match you here, unfortunately, so it wouldn't have worked out anyway. And find 3 things in common with them. So this is something you can do at any time. And all right, so this is what I want to talk about now, facing fears, right? Especially if you're going to a networking event and this is tough for you. So breathing exercises, you just want to breathe through it. You can always breathe through things. You can breathe through physical pain if you do it enough, right? You stretch and breathe, inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth, or inhale through the nose, exhale through the nose. And this will really help calm you down. I don't know if anyone has ever experienced like an anxiety attack or a panic attack. I used to have them quite often. These breathing exercises really got me to a place of just being more relaxed, right? This is a great way to calm yourself down. I also take like ashwagandha. This is like a natural, like a mushroom. You can find them anywhere, these capsules in the grocery store, and it definitely helps with like relaxation of your mind. Positive self-talk, right? So treat yourself the way you would treat the people that you love. I'm sure you treat the way, the people that you love, your friends, your family, with positive words, with affirmations. You look great. You're going to do amazing. You're going to be fine. You know exactly what you're doing. Talk to yourself that way. I know sometimes we have, we're hard on ourselves. We're our own worst critic. Be nice to yourself. This is really helpful, and it starts to change your mentality about things and allows you to just connect with people on the human level. Rejection exercises. Okay, this is a great way to learn to be more comfortable with rejection. So a friend of mine, actually in high school, we went to, I don't know, it was like McDonald's or something, because she wanted to practice a rejection exercise. And I loved that she did this, and I'll never forget it. We went to a McDonald's drive-through, and she ordered something, and then she's like, yeah, and can I have an extra large fries for free? And the woman through the, what's it called? The microphone thing. She was like, no. And my friend was like, okay. So we get to the window, and she gets her meal handed to her, and she pays, and she's like, oh, can I have an extra large, can I have a large fries for free? And the lady was like, no. And my friend was like, okay. And we just drove off. And this was the whole exercise. It's just learning to be okay when people say no when you ask for things. Because if you don't ask, it's harder for people to know what you want. If you don't voice yourself, it's hard for people to understand where you're coming from, right? So you can do some of these fun rejection exercises to get yourself more prepared for when people say no. Prepare for the scenario through role play. So you can pretend that you're at the event. You can go through everything in your mind. You have your questions ready. Okay, what are the possible ways that people might react? Positive and negative. Assume it'll always be positive, right? Assume the best, not the worst. It's kind of the similar for a visualization, right? How are you going to react? So you can't always control what people do, right? You can never control how people act, but what you can always control is how you react. So if you are doing a visualization exercise, imagine yourself there, imagine it going well, right? And it's more likely to go well because you're putting that energy out there already. Have a confidence trigger. So I love this one. So, if there's something that makes you nervous, right? So for a lot of people, it's like public speaking. I know public speaking makes them nervous. So have a confidence trigger. I remember when I was doing my final presentation for design school, I was getting a little anxious, even though I didn't really have an issue with public speaking. But I created a confidence trigger. So mine was just like holding my hands like this, like together, like upside down, doesn't matter, like this. And I thought about a really powerful moment where I felt confident and I felt like totally just ready, just good. I felt great. And that was doing this. I thought about that moment where I felt so confident and just ready and powerful. And this brought me there, like in my mind, and I was ready to get up and do my presentation. So have a confidence trigger. It could be anything. It could be tapping your shoulder. It could be like doing like this, whatever the trigger is to get you there in your mind. So a physical trigger to get you there in your mind. And then say yes to a situation that'll help you grow. So you never want to go to networking events because you get nervous. Say yes to go and it will help you grow. Like, what's the worst thing that can happen? You don't talk to anyone? Okay, fine. You still went. You still made a progressive action to doing something there at that event. So then you keep trying and trying and trying again until you get better. All right, so I see some questions coming in. I'm just going to leave my info up here. Please, and while we answer the questions, please connect with me on LinkedIn, and this is my email as well. I'd love to stay in contact with all of you. I so appreciate you coming. Thank you so much. It means a lot, and I hope that you learned something today and you found something valuable. All right, Sudhi, one thing I've heard is a good exercise that's similar to role play and visualization is having an alter ego. Who are they? How do they act? How do they think? And try to be that. I love that. I feel like this is true for I don't know. I'm thinking who has an alter ego? Like Beyonce. Of course, I'm thinking music. Like Sasha Fierce, right? That was her alter ego. Or Nicki Minaj had like this Roman person. Like me, I go by, my name is Emily, but my artist name is Soleil. So I turn into somebody else when I'm on the stage. So it is having an alter ego. That is a great suggestion, Sudhi. Thank you for bringing that up. If anyone else has any questions, please drop them in the chat. I can definitely stay for another couple minutes. If you have anything you'd like to bring up, thank you all so much for attending. And you're welcome. For everyone who's saying thank you, I appreciate that. I'm glad that you learned. you learned something.